Hello and welcome to the show and round one of the CAMS Australian Rally Championship, also round one of the Zestino Tyres WA Rally Championship. Joining us, Glenn McNeil. Fantastic day of rallying and what a way to open the season.
Oh, most definitely. It's been a very, very interesting day. Very tough day for the crews there, obviously this morning, bit of dust around. So yeah, it's been a very, very interesting day.
And of course it all kicked off with the traditional trade hire Bustleton Super Stage last night. Very tricky stage, lots of work to be done. We're watching some onboard now and the crews have got their work cut out not to keep it off the walls.
Oh, most definitely. You obviously, like you and I have obviously experienced in the past, you can certainly lose it there. You can't actually win it. But great to take the sport to the people and put on a show for the crowd.
Yeah, it was a good crowd. And results-wise, interestingly, ARC, the Bates boys, but not necessarily in the order that we may have predicted.
But yeah, perhaps. I mean, obviously they split the stage, one each, and they continue the tradition. The Bates family, obviously, with their father Neil, obviously having a very, very good history with that stage, and it's obviously in the blood.
They certainly did a fantastic job. Dalton did a good job. Tommy Wilde did a good job. Top 8, pretty good all round. No huge mishaps, which was probably the best thing.
Oh, most definitely. I think Tom was probably the standout last night for me. Did a great job on the stage and certainly very spectacular on the handbrake around the hairpin. And certainly we were down there watching, and the crowd seemed to love it.
And of course, John O'Dowd and Tom both cross-entered, so they were the leaders in the West Australian side of it after a pretty good night of racing, one would have to say.
Yeah, I think for John, obviously the first time he's driven that car in competition, so the added pressure, the first stage is, he'd probably admit, probably a little bit tentative, but he came out of the blocks on the second stage and put in a super time. So all credit to him, he did a very, very good job.
Yeah, and great job by the organisers, another brilliant stage put together. But of course, it's all about the gravel when we talk about the West Australian, the Australian Rally Championship. Big day of rallying, day one, 89 k's competitive. Plenty of stages in there.
Oh, absolutely. And a couple of new stages this year. They're old stages or parts of old stages, but the organisers, obviously with the fires they've had recently, had to cobble together some stages. Probably the crews commented they're probably a little bit rough in places and a little bit tricky. So, but they're obviously going to provide plenty of action.
We're on board here with John O'Dowd and Tony Fever. Very slippery. Dust became a factor. And again, super tricky to start the day.
Oh, most definitely. I think, as you can see by the vision here, the dust was certainly an issue. Obviously, Harry first on the road. And it was actually on the first stage there, I think it's quite a bit slower than the first pass on that stage last year, which highlights how slippery it was. And as you can see from the vision, obviously very, very slippery. So, yeah, it was very, very tricky for everybody.
So, the Bates boys out the front. As you just mentioned, Harry sweeping the road.
Yeah,
but no dust.
But no dust, and as you can see, like 11.5 seconds back to Lewis, so a fairly sizable gap there. But then very, very close behind. Only 1.4 seconds back to Molly and another 1.4 back to Tom. So the fight was on very early.
So Glenn, as we can see, we're on board with Lewis and Anthony. Dust is certainly a big problem, but what a fantastic job they did to bring their car in second into the halfway point. Brilliant job.
Oh, look, I think Lewis, stand out. I mean, the first day in this car in the ARC, he's done one small event in it previously in Canberra, a local event. But first day here, I don't think anybody probably expected him to be as close as he was, to Harry. All credit to him. Very difficult in these conditions. Obviously relying on the notes that Anthony's calling, and obviously done a very good job in recce. And obviously his confidence in that car is obviously growing.
Yeah, we're talking that Harry was leading by about 19 seconds.
Yep.
Came into the main service. Fantastic job. I'm sure that the whole team would be super pleased about all the hard work they've done in the off season, paying off 1-2 at the halfway point. Day one, pretty impressed.
Oh, look, I think, out there watching those cars, I think all credit to Neil Bates Motorsport. They've done an amazing job with the development of that car. Probably 18 months now they've been developing it. Without the budgets of the big teams in Europe, and the amount of traction that car has now out on the stages is incredible. I know Harry was saying he has lots and lots of confidence in it, and just the engine development, obviously in the off-season, the engines have been to Europe. And they've certainly got a lot more drivability out of that car, and it was probably the biggest thing for me was the fact that Harry's stage time on Ellis matched exactly Eli's stage time in the Skoda last year. So that proves it's not far away.
Yeah, they've done a massive amount of work. Further down the field, also great work. How's our local Tommy Wilde in the Pretty, well, not standard car, but obviously way down on power. Pump fuel, as you said. Pretty heavy car as well. Third outright.
Oh look, that car is essentially, a Group N-ish type car. Obviously, sequential box and things like that, but it is fairly standard compared to the other vehicles up there. And to be having it in there, mixing it with Molly Taylor in that car, that's pretty impressive.
So looking at the top 8 at the halfway point on day 1, Molly there as well, 4th outright, just 1.5 seconds behind, as you mentioned, really close. Darren Winders, welcome him back to WA in the old GC8. And Glenn, the other really good result, John O'Dowd, brilliant job, first time out in the car, lots of new things for him to get his head around.
Most definitely. I mean, left-hand drive, that's difficult. First time on stage is all great to do it in testing, but on stages when you get to do things once, you see them the first time, you make the decision, you go with it. Left-hand drive's not easy to get in the rhythm of. That car, very different to what he's driven in the past. Exceptional car, but John seemed to have a grin from ear to ear when he got out of the car, and we were speaking to the team before, and he's had a great day. He's certainly done a great job.
I think a great job by all in the top 8, and of course 1, 2 and 3 managed to catch up with the podium place getters for a bit of a chat.
Yeah, I think we had an easier morning than most. Being car 1 on the road's always a challenge, but this morning the ones behind us had dust issues, so we've been happy. Everything's feeling good car setup wise, so we're just going to have to, I think, go into the afternoon now and try and consolidate our lead. The stages will be swept, which I think will be a help. Looking forward to sort of going in and finally having a go on a slightly grippier road. But at the moment my biggest challenge is my brother, and he's going very well. So I'm very proud of him. Obviously, it's new territory for him, and I think if he can just bring it home, then that'll be a great result for our team.
We're having a really good run. We're happy with the morning loop. We had some dust problems in the first 2 stages this morning, lost a bit of time, but other than that, we're having a good run. We're sitting in 2nd. We've got a 1-2 so far for Toyota Gazoo Racing Australia, which is really nice. Let's hope we can do the same this afternoon.
Yeah, so we just thought come out, we got a stage that is very similar to everyone, like everyone's done it before health-wise, so it's good for us to get back into the car, and car felt really, really good. We just thought we're up there with the time, so we just thought we'll push along, and seems the harder I go, the better the car's feeling. So just a really smooth feeling at the moment. We're still braking a little bit early in spots and losing a bit of time here and there, but I think we're good. The roads are really loose this morning, so once they're swept this afternoon, the higher horsepower cars might have a little bit more advantage over us, but we'll see how we go.
4+, and very long left 5. 50, brow.
So Glenn, the team's headed back out to the stages. 2 of the stages repeat. We can see on board here, lots of swept lines, a bit easier for the teams. Although the results were unchanged, it was very, very tight for the top 8.
Oh, look, this afternoon with the 3-minute gap, dust wasn't so much an issue. Obviously, everybody's experienced the stages once. It was super tight. The top 4 cars on both of those stages, not separated by much. Both, so the Bates boys are in their own fight, and then Molly and Tom were also in a fight as well, and they were pushing each other hammer and tong today. I think if you take away the tarmac stages for the whole day, I think there's there's something like 0.1 of a second between the 2 of them. So
great rallying.
Oh, and that's what you love. I mean, as you know, that's what you love. You love to be in a fight. So
yeah. Let's talk about the results now. End of the day, obviously, the Bates team, what a fantastic job. Let's quickly talk about Harry. Plenty of pressure on him, albeit from his younger brother. But wow, he did a great job. Did a fantastic job.
He didn't put a foot wrong, did he? All day, brand new car. Testimony to the team to put together such a great car, and he didn't put a foot wrong. He was the favourite coming in, and he drove as
didn't
a champion.
Disappoint.
No, absolutely. I think he's obviously going to be the man to watch all year.
And full marks to Lewis. A brilliant job. Didn't crack under any pressure, of course. Not very many times he's been in this car. Hasn't done a lot of testing, so a lot of new stuff for him.
Yes, most definitely. He's. I think I was talking to Harry before, and Harry said he's a fast learner. He's been watching lots of Harry's onboard, and obviously that's paying off. Not sure there might not be too much sharing of onboards anymore, I reckon. So no, he's done a brilliant job.
Okay, further down the field, Tom Wilde, as you mentioned earlier, big fight with Molly. Great to watch throughout the day. Tom Wilde kept his cool, and obviously did a great job to take 3rd outright in the ARC brilliant, again, another brilliant drive.
Look, especially in that car, in that car obviously a bit heavier, like you said previously, not quite as much power, but I think, the roads and the conditions here suit that style of car in some respects. So maybe not disadvantaged as much, just because you can't actually get all that extra power to the ground on this loose, slippery surface. So, yeah.
Glenn, when we look at the graphic of the results, some pretty good jobs done further down the order. Windus, again, kept his cool throughout, likes the WA roads, he's always said so. And of course, John O'Dowd, fantastic job first day out in his new car. Didn't put a foot wrong, didn't scratch it, and set some very good stage times. So, Glenn, top 3 place getters, very, very pleased we managed to catch up with them.
Yeah, it was a really clean day, and I'm absolutely stoked to be here and to have taken the win. It feels like we worked hard for this one, as I'm sure everyone has, but we were able to go out and do what we wanted to do, which is an amazing feeling. Everyone's worked super hard in the off season, and I think we've got a package that's showing the results of that work. We didn't probably expect to turn up here and dominate quite like we did today, but we managed to get the 1-2, and I think it was a nice reward for everyone's hard work.
The afternoon remained the same. We stayed in second position. Overall, I'm very happy with the day. It's above all expectations that I had. So the Yaris is feeling really good. Obviously the stages are quite slippery and we struggled with dust this morning, but the Yaris on the slippery stages is working really well. So we're over the moon and it's given me lots of confidence. Obviously a big congratulations to Harry and John. They did a top job today. But yeah, for us, we're very happy with second.
Yeah, we had a brilliant day today, so we thought we'd just ease into it early this morning, and we're kind of right there from the start. So we just stuck with our strategy and drove it neat and clean and tidy, and we were sort of neck and neck with Molly most of the day. It seems like our tarmac runs last night helped us out to just edge in front of her by 5 seconds in the end.
And Glenn, when we talk about the graphics of the West Australian Rally Championship, obviously we know that John O'Dowd and Tom Wilde are dual entered, so first and second there, but some pretty good work further down the field in the West Australian Championship side of it.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think, young Cody Reynolds has done a great job, been getting faster and faster over the last couple of years. Local guy from Busselton, and that's a very, very good job. He's got 2 Class ARC guys ahead of him, and he'll be one to watch in the WA Championship this year.
Yeah, certainly a good job. Pusey and Pusey also good. McGuinness up to 5th, White and White. The Floods and Rando also a really good job. Well, Glenn, tomorrow another big day of rallying for the opening round of the championship. Let's talk about the stats. Quite a few stages to go and quite a few competitive Ks.
Oh, look, obviously it kicks off tonight. We've got a rerun of the Busselton stage, a little bit longer, an extra couple of laps tonight. And then we've got 120 plus kilometres tomorrow with 8 stages. So a bit more stage Ks than today. There's still plenty to play out. So it'll be another interesting day's rallying tomorrow.
It certainly will be, Glenn. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with a wrap-up of what should be a very exciting Heat 2 of the CAMS Australian Rally Championship. Thank you.